Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk Season 4 Jaecar. Jaecar, the hunter's star, the man who single-handedly pulled us through a season and a half or so. So, how bad is the damage? Well, his trap has changed, it's now got a bit smaller, and it does snared and 1 damage instead of snared and bleed. We've had a little playbook change, the 3 damage push dodge is gone, and the big one, gut and string, is now only -2, -2 move instead of -4, -4. But retains that handy-dandy -1 defense. Oh, and I almost forgot, he no longer gets blood as a character play. No more bleeding at all for Jaecar, and honestly I've cared more. So yeah, he's got worse, but I think these are more than reasonable changes, and I can't quite believe I'm reading on the forum people saying that they're going to drop him from the 12. What on earth are you talking about? I presume this is just the knee-jerk reaction to something getting nerfed. No one feels so good about paying the same and getting less. Oh, come on, Jaecar is a perfectly good model. We don't really need to talk too much about his role. Everybody uses Jaecar. You know, he's fast. He can score those little opportunity goals with that kick and especially his dodges. He does some really quite good burst damage when he starts hitting the end of his playbook and going into wraps, which he can totally do on something that's snared and knocked down and gut and strung. And with all his dodges and back to the shadows and anatomical precision, Lightfoot, he's just a fast, hard-hitting, well-rounded player. With a 1-inch melee zone, yes, he can get pushed away out of an attack and left high and dry. But that's sort of a risk, and if you're playing him right, and if your opponent's just a little bit incautious, he'll be dodging between various players and escaping those dangerous counters. What do these changes mean for him really? Well, the trap I can't really see any difference, other than the fact that it now does damage, helps potentially protect veteran minks a little bit better. I'm trying to think of a time that someone didn't clear that bleed, but I guess maybe you could argue that he drains enemy momentum slightly less, but small potatoes. I very rarely used this 3 push dodge, mostly because of how nice it is to get 4 momentous damage. And really, whenever I was using push dodges, I was using this 2 push dodge, which is still around. It's never nice to lose a tool though, but I don't think that's one that I'm going to particularly miss. Same for his blood character play, just don't care. So he's kept all the killing utility he had, he's kept all the football-y, dodgy utility he had. Really what we're talking about here is the change to gut and string, which now means he can't as reliably lock down a particular threat in place with a -6 movement between gut and string and snared. And that used to mean he could go in, tie them up and then dodge away 4 or 5 inches with back to the shadows and be pretty safe. Now it's a bit harder to get away scot-free, and he's gone from a ferocious NPE to just simply a really solid player. -2 move is bad enough on its own. When you put down the traps, which means that if they're already suffering snared, they can clear it, but then as soon as they move, they then trigger snared again. On top of already having a -2 movement from the gut and string, that's still pretty good control. The -1 defense is a major reason I take him, and a major reason why I would choose this non-momentous result over damage so often. It's just to get that extra minus defense on them, so that you're snared, you're gut and strung, then you get knocked down. Being able to put -3 defense on something is a death sentence. And that's what really enables hunters to put out some explosive damage. And even if Jaecar's not doing it all himself, he's a major part of that setup. He can put down his trap, he can do the push to set it off, he can put out the gut and string, Cena can then roll in with the knockdown, or someone else can put it up. And then we've got quite a few models that can really put a boot in with that kind of debuffing. So for me, Jaecar is 100% here to stay in the team. Yes, I am inclined to start trying other players in his place. Chaska, for instance, his damage has gone up. He's less of a momentum sink and generates more. So yeah, I'm looking at him as an interesting damage replacement option. But that's more in the interest of trying out models I haven't used so much and giving them a chance rather than kicking Jaecar out of the team entirely. He's gonna be in it. There's not a shadow of a doubt. In Scather's football-y team, he competes with Egret and Matagi, and I think he's a nice, flexible midway between the two. and possibly therefore the more reliable or easy to use option. In a more kill-focused team, and we're still talking Scatha here, he might not see play so often. Veteran Minx and Zarola are pretty much locks for me. If I want to do raw damage, then I'm going for Cena and Minerva. But Jaecar always has a place. And in Theron, I still think he's excellent. It's maybe more of a matchup thing, where there's lots of 2-inch melee and nasty counterattacks like, say, Fish, that can risk invalidating Jaecar's activation, and his 4-0 defense and 14 wounds put him as one of the more vulnerable members of the team. But as far as I'm aware, there aren't that many of those, and it's certainly not the case of where, say, Egret and Chaska, you're looking at the particular matchups where they will potentially shine. With Jaecar, you're looking at the few where he won't. So yeah, he's still the man, still a really strong model, and I'm going to be playing him. So yeah, take care. I'll catch you on the next one.